are these people?
Yeah, my rant of the week is none other on Bakari Sellers, also known as Bakari Sellout. And Savvy, I know, reported on him. She beat me to it yesterday, I think yesterday or Monday. Kit reported on him, I think also earlier this week. I want to do a little more of a deep dive though, because Bakari is a bitch. I'll just say it right now. Like, well, he's a bitch to the establishment. So, and I've been annoyed with him, you know, like forever, especially on Twitter, you know. But this story came out like, I believe over the weekend. So I definitely wanted to report on this. So, and I saw this initially on Twitter that Jordan Charlton, you know, tweeted out, the squad naively fought not endorsing Nina Turner will prevent them super PAC assaults against him, featuring a picture of Bakari. And, you know, obviously like Jordan, who I reported on, I think a couple of weeks ago, kind of mentioned how, you know, the squad were threatened, like they didn't endorse Nina Turner because they were threatened basically for their jobs. And as I said then, like, if you're a friend for your jobs, I'll be like, go at it, you know,
right.
like, you know, but you know, the squad's a coward, so whatever. But attached to that, there's this report, so I do want to read it. I probably will skip around because I'm sure many people in the chat have probably heard this story before, so I won't go into too much details, but I do want to bring in a little bit more information, just getting to know who Bakari is.
Yeah.
And just the nefariousness that surrounds this dude. So not sure if it's going to work on my end, but
should do. We'll see. There it is.
Yeah, it does work. Okay. Okay, it does work. Just refresh. So a new PAC endorsed by Bakari Sellers says it's going to spend upwards of $1 million to support one of the candidates trying to unseat progressive firebrand Rashida Tlaib. The stated mission of the group, Urban Empowerment Action PAC, is to back candidates who are dedicated to the educational empowerment and an economic uplift of Black communities, according to a release first shared with Politico's The Recast. The PAC adds that its support of Janice Winfrey, the Detroit city clerk, is meant to boost her campaign to restore infrastructure, improve educational opportunities in the district, and support the Biden-Harris agenda in DC. So basically, here's, you know, the letter here.
Right.
So this group is made up of a coalition of Black and Jewish business leaders. For her part, Tlaib has been unequivocal in her disdain for Israel and its treatment of Palestinians, and this week introduced a resolution in the House to recognize Palestinian Nakba, a term described the displacement of Palestinians ahead of the 1948 establishment of Israel. Tlaib, one of the most liberal and outspoken members of the House Democratic Caucus, has also been a persistent critic of President Joe Biden, delivering her own rebuttal to his State of the Union address in March. She was also a no on Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill that was signed into law at the end of last year. The two-term Congresswoman said she voted against it because Democrats were reneging on the promise to pass that legislation alongside an expansive climate and social spending bill, commonly referred to as Build Back Better. By separating the two, she argued, progressives lost their leverage. True. And to date, Build Back Better remains stalled. Sellers, the television pundit who is a former South Carolina state representative, is fundraising for the PAC. He says he wants to see the size of the Congregational Black Caucus increase in the next Congress, and explains the PAC's endorsement for Winfrey in this way. We are hoping we can have a candidate that doesn't have varying distractions, he tells the recast. Winfrey is Black, while Tlaib is Palestinian American. When asked to comment on the UEA's endorsement, Denzel McCampbell, a spokesman for Tlaib's re-election campaign, said the representative is battle-tested. He calls on Winfrey to disavow the PAC spending. Outside Super PAC ads do not win elections, direct voter contact does. If our opponent truly cares about our democracy, I hope that she will immediately disavow and condemn this type of big money attack on our democracy that only seeks to mislead voters and distort reality, McCampbell said. The UEA's endorsement comes amid fears that Detroit, the nation's largest majority Black city, may not have a single Black representative in the next Congress with the retirement of Representative Brenda Warrens. The PAC spent $55,000 supporting freshman Representative Akima Williams in her primary, which she won earlier this week, last week. Williams is the only incumbent on UEA's PAC initial list of candidates it's backing. 3 others are seeking open seats in Illinois, Florida, and California.
Okay.
Tlaib, however, is the only incumbent being challenged on the PAC's initial list of targets. The support can go a long way for Winfrey, who will face off against Tlaib in Michigan's August 2nd primary. They'll be competing in the redrawn 12th district, which includes parts of Detroit, as well as the more conservative areas of Livonia and the city of Dearborn, which is home to the nation's largest population of Arab Americans. Winfrey, who entered the race in February, raised a little more than $236,000 and just had over $220,000 on hand, according to the latest Federal Election Commission records. Those figures were dwarfed by Tlaib's war chest. She raised more than 1.3 million and still has 1.6 million cash on hand. Any thoughts so far before I continue?
I mean, what about you, Rob? Anything?
This doesn't surprise me at all. It's exactly what we expect. I don't know why the squad ever expects that they're gonna have, like, if what Jordan Sheridan is implying is actually true, like that they thought that maybe there wouldn't be as many PACs brought against them if they all voted for Chantel Brown, and they're being naive because they thought that. I don't think that's true at all. I think we obviously, and they know very well that, you know, no matter what they do, the establishment is going to bring PACs against you. You're going to get primaried, and they're going to pick a primary contender that's doing well enough, and they're just going to shower them with money. So I think Jordan Sheridan is also, you know, kind of full of crap in his, I think he's being naive in thinking that that's the thing that made them all not vote for Nina Turner, that they maybe cut a deal, or it was implied that no PACs would be brought against them. No PACs would be, you know, given to any of their opponents. You know, we file this under duh. Like this, of course they're going to do it. If you're part of the squad, lean into it, say screw all these people, and vote for Nina Turner if you really believe that's the thing to do. Don't allow yourself to be, you know, strong-armed in any way. But again, I don't even believe that. I think that they're all part of the same party. They always vote in a way that allows the Democratic establishment elites to get what they want. So I don't think that they even had to be strong-armed. I think they did it because they're all part of the big club now.
Right. And
God, you sound like such a nihilist. Like... You nihilist. God.
Yep.
Such a nihilist. Yeah.
Watch my.
Yeah, go back and watch
my rant on nihilism that I did about a few weeks ago. But but I think
Thursday. Speaking of which, Thursday JB is supposed to go on with Mr. Charlatan. So that should be an interesting thing to talk about, nihilism and other such things. So stay tuned in for that. You know, Sabby says they sold out for nothing. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
but this like is
and now
half a loaf for nothing.
Their districts are being redrawn. So it's not even a guarantee that they're going to be, even though they're the incumbents, there's not even a guarantee that even going to keep their seats. I know, like in New York, Mondaire Jones and Jamal Bowman's districts are being redrawn. So basically they're going to be competing against each other. So basically, you know, people are trying we have to get more progressives in. Right now, like they're basically going to fight each other to the death to try and ensure to keep their seats. So squad members are in danger of getting out of Congress. So it's like, you know, you did the shit that you thought was going to help you, you know, in your career. And maybe if, you know, like you were so kind to maybe help the people, but the establishment is screwing you over anyway. So.
And they always do. So that begs the question, who's the more naive, the squad members or Jordan Sheridan for assuming that they're that naive that they think they're actually going to have no PACs brought against them if they cut a deal? One of them's right. I think the squad knows the game. Jordan Sheridan is super naive to think that they might have cut some sort of backroom deal. Bullshit. No, they know the game. They know exactly what's going to happen.
Look,
just
it's
weird to
not
see.
sexy, but you know, it goes away in a bit. I mean, it's just like the sex I get at home. It's just not, you know, yeah, this is classic. Like, let's play ball with the establishment, who obviously play better ball than us, right? And like, you know, see if that we can sneak one over on them while playing their game. Like, no, that's not how any of this works, Dolores. I'm just choosing a random name, but like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's crazy that we're still even talking about like electoral stuff in general, you know. But anyway, you got some more, Collin?
I got more. So I chop it up with Sellers, who explains his involvement with the PAC and why he says he has no beef with Tlaib directly, and why he thinks of how the Biden administration is using Vice President Kamala Harris. At the end of the last year, Sellers made headlines after describing the Reef's portfolio as quote unquote trash. So if we go try and remember how I did this. Okay, wait. No, okay, so I was right. So here's a couple of tweets that I picked up, you know, in putting this together. J. Norul comments, low-key think Bakari has had to do an enormous amount of damage control after he spoke honestly about the vice president's portfolio, plus aligned with Nina Turner. Guess Biden's people put a firm grip on his shoulder. And then Isa4MD comments, Bakari goes from supporting Nina Turner to always trying to defeat progressives. Guy doesn't believe in anything.
Nihilist.
So this is why I tweeted out to Jordan following the tweet that I showed you first. So what does that say about Nina Turner, that she's actually friends with Bakari Sellers? Because remember, he was a part of her campaign last summer. And even then I was kind of looking at both of them. I'm like, isn't Bakari, wasn't he a super delegate who basically swore that he would vote against Bernie if given the chance?
Why, yes, Collin.
So why would Nina align herself with him? Friends or whatever you want to call him personally. Like, but ideologically, you are opposed to him allegedly.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I'll just play what she said, which is kind of fucked up, but you know, but not sure if I can play it.
I think you just hit it again. Hit it.
Okay.
Maybe. If not, I got it. No. Okay. I got it.
Okay.
God, let me drive.
Good afternoon. One day left. It has been a whirlwind. My dear friend.
Yes.
The Honorable Carp. You honorable.
They still put that on my mail
because
too.
it's true. Once honorable, always honorable. Well, we do get to keep our last title.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Okay, the Honorable Bakari Sellers is here with me. He flew in today
right.
from the great state of South Carolina. I am so excited. Him and I have been many a space and a place together. Together, and no matter what, we always stay together. And people don't understand that about us.
That. I tell folk all the time, look, I supported Hillary Clinton in the primary. The list goes on and on and on. But the unique thing about all of those things is I support Nina Turner too. Yes. The reason why is because we go back to like 2006, 2007, when we were young elected officials just trying to change the world.
Still a young elected official.
And
I'm young adjacent.
the proximate. But she's somebody who can get it done. We don't need on-the-drive training. Somebody who can get it done day one. And she's a fighter, and I love her with my whole heart. So people are like, you going to Cleveland to support Nina Turner? Who? What? On Twitter, they going crazy.
I know it. I'm glad we're driving them crazy.
Rob face palm, man.
And we had every reason to be.
I'm like,
we on the side of the people.
We on the side of the people.
Right.
And this
Are you now?
so important to the future of this country. And so I want to be on Nina's team always when I can.
Well, B, I feel the same way about you. And we have, even when we have like just disagreed on political issues or even candidates, we never let that get in the way of our relationship.
Never.
And I think in that there's a lesson there. If people want to learn it from us.
That's true.
You know, this is a teachable moment.
I always care about her family, streets all the time. We pray for her son all the time.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Serving.
Yes.
us in Ohio.
And vice versa.
Exactly.
Baby.
We'll let them. We'll let them play footsie for a little
yes,
longer.
we were on the same network together.
This is
and nobody ever saw us go. We
no, this is politics and love, which we need more of. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Politics and love together. It's funny you would say that because at the interfaith prayer breakfast this morning, I cut loose just a little bit.
I know you did.
She cut loose. Collin, she cut loose at the interfaith prayer breakfast. How does one, for one thing, Collin, how does one, you've been probably at a few prayer breakfasts, like as I have living in the South. That is not a place for cutting loose, Miss Nina. That is not a place for that. You're going to have to talk to the elders about this. It's going to get weird.
Rob, I saw you rolling your eyes like quite a bit.
There's so much wrong with that clip. It's indicative. It's kind of like in a microcosm, exactly what's wrong with Nina Turner in her last 2 runs is that she's unwilling to like go after these people who the left base really doesn't like. And instead cozies up to them and goes, well, we can disagree on some things, but we'll still be, able to work together, even though this guy was against Bernie Sanders and is against me in basically every ideological way. So that's exactly the reason she lost, is because she's not inspiring, because she's hiring people like this and working with people like this when the
Jeff Weaver.
Exactly right. He wanted Bernie Sanders to take billionaire money. So exactly, the idea is if you want to win, you should be going against these people. So I don't understand why she did that. That's probably why she lost, or at least didn't generate very much enthusiasm, is exactly this stuff right here. This basically in a 2-minute clip showed exactly how vomit inducing this type of thing is to the actual left base that was all energized by Bernie Sanders in the first place. And that blue tsunami she could have ridden to victory is disgusted with stuff like this, because Bakari Sellers is not the answer. We don't want you working with people like this. We want to hear you outwardly speak against people like this. So,
right.
It's gross. There's a lot more wrong with it too.
I ask politicians when I do have the opportunity to ask them anything, which I've gotten to a few times, right? One, how are you going to stay uncorrupted, right? What actions are you going to take? What is your plan when you get to office, right? But also, what enemies are you going to make? Because that's what I want you to do anyway.
Right. And we talked about this last week with my rant from last week. Like, who are your organizations that you're aligned with?
Right.
Because those are very key in kind of letting us know, like, where your values are, but also who's going to keep you accountable shit. So, again, we look at Kashama Sawant with Socialist Alternative, and look what she's been able to do in Seattle in line with Socialist Alternative. Like, look at what the Justice of Democrats in comparison, the dark money that they have taken, that other people in the space have reported on, and look, what are we getting? Getting more of the same establishment set, just more like tied up in a nice pretty box in the name of being progressive and working for the people and all that bullshit. But anyway, enough about Nina. Let's get a little bit more into Bakari here. So I knew this, but just so in case other people didn't know. So I pulled this from the Moguldom Nation. Is the new Bakari Sellers endorsed PAC a black front group for AIPAC and Wall Street? Democrat Bakari Sellers is putting his support behind a new political action committee called Urban Empowerment Action PAC, a coalition of Black and Jewish leaders. This is raising questions about the PAC's purpose, whether it's a black front for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, and Wall Street. A PAC is an organization that campaigns for specific political policies and arranges for money to be given to political parties or candidates that support those policies. AIPAC is a powerful lobbying group that advocates pro-Israel policies to the Congress and executive branch of the US. AIPAC brings together pro-Israel industrial leaders from Wall Street, real estate, and legal and venture tech fields. The Urban Empowerment Action PAC says it believes that creating real economic opportunities for African Americans requires the adoption of smart public policies rooted in empowerment and a reversal of harmful public policies that affect education, public safety, workforce and development, entrepreneurship, housing and health, according to its website. The UAPAC says its aim is to unite individuals to support candidates committed to advancing policies that will improve the lives of African Americans. Do we know what Winfrey is for? Nope. So one of UA's PAC goals seems to be to oust progressive Democrat Representative Rashida Tlaib, a member of the squad. Tlaib has represented Michigan's 13th congressional district since 2019, including the western half of Detroit, several of its western suburbs, and much of the downriver area. UAPAC is spending $1 million to get rid of Tlaib, who seems to be a target due to calling out Israel over its treatment of Palestinians. The UAPAC money is going to back Tlaib's opponent, Janice Winfrey, in the upcoming Detroit area election on August 2nd. Politico asked Sellers if the UA's PAC targeting of Tlaib is due to Tlaib's negative comments about Israel. It's definitely high up on the list, Sellers replied. It is not the primary focus. It is not my primary focus. My primary focus is what I said it is. Our goal is to get Black folk in office, support them, give them the infrastructure necessary, and make sure the issues that we care about are at the forefront. If she had voted the way she did, would we be in this race? I don't know. But yes, we do care about strengthening about that coalition, and we'll do everything we can to continue to strengthen it. Tlaib has been consistent in her criticism of Israel. She recently introduced a resolution in the House to recognize Palestinian Nakba, a term describing the displacement of Palestinians ahead of the 1948 establishment of Israel, Politico reported. Sellers has been called out himself in the past for his strong ties to AIPAC. Sellers was recruited by the AIPAC while he was student government president at Morehouse College, historically Black University, HBCU. He has remained an AIPAC supporter and player throughout his career as one of the many Black US politicians who has traveled to Israel on trips supported by AIPAC. So apparently when I was doing the research is AIPAC tends to do this quite a bit. They target Black students at HBCUs, especially ones who seem to have a lot of promise in government, to recruit them purposely, essentially to do their bidding. And
so like the
Bakari,
CIA and the FBI, same thing. Gotcha.
So those of you who know Richie Torres, similar shit.
Yeah, well, we covered that happening. What was the place that Afeni was covering their housing crisis at the college? Where was that at? Do you remember? Howard. There was a story literally right after that. Oh, I remember that we covered, I think, on either How Did We Miss That or one of the first INN News about how Howard was going, the CIA was going to Howard recruiting because they wanted like diversity hires, essentially, right? Like that was essentially what they said. So, this is, and I'm sure this is among all branches of government right now. So,
So basically Bakari is hiding behind the idea of, we need representation, in Congress, we need, a Black representative within the community that Tlaib currently holds, hiding behind the fact that he is a Zionist and basically, like a whore for AIPAC and willing to do their bidding.
As Joe Biden would say.
And willing to do their bidding just to ensure that Tlaib, loses her seat. So in not so many words, in my mind, that's really what this is about. It's not a matter of working for the people. It's basically, Bakari, AIPAC basically tapped Bakari on the shoulder being like, we need you, bro. Take care of this. So, so a couple more tweets, and I think there's one more thing I want to show you guys. So, Bohemian 2 report says on Twitter, Bakari is a disgrace to his father's legacy, a complete prostitute for AIPAC. Remember when he went to allegedly support, quote unquote, Nina Turner in Ohio? Yes, we do. So one last thing. So he did this interview with DJ Vlad, I think 2 years ago.
DJ Vlad.
Yeah, so just wanted to show you, because they talk about Israel. Notice what he says and what he doesn't say. So if you don't mind playing the clip.
Now, you've been pro-Israel for a while.
Yeah.
Which isn't very common in the African-American community. You know, me being Jewish myself, I've had a lot of really ugly racial slurs, everything you could possibly think of, from, you know, I don't even want to go into the words. You know, me myself, I've been to Israel, I think 3 times now. I understand the conflict involved between Israel and Palestine. It's very complex. I really wish that there would be an end to the fighting over there. But you don't usually see that with my contemporaries in hip hop. Why exactly are you pro-Zionist?
Well, I mean, I think the best way to put it is I'm pro-peace. And I've been to Israel 3 times. You know, I've actually been to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. You know, I've swum in the Dead Sea. I've seen where Jesus gave his Sermon on the Mount, and as a Christian from the South, it was very moving. Like you, I also understand the conflict and understand how complex the conflict is. But I do firmly believe in a 2-state solution where everyone can actually live peacefully and coexist together. But even more importantly, I want people to understand this. Like, I'm not just here in America pushing for social justice and not asking for social justice throughout the world. I actually met with one of the deputy mayors of Tel Aviv to talk about police brutality. I've actually been to absorption camps and learned how you know, Ethiopian Jews are brought into Israel and their relationship, and want them to be treated fairly, want that level of humanity given. And so, just as I ask for people to give us the benefit of our humanity here, I think it's fair to say that you know, people put you in these categories of pro-Israel or whatever it may be. I'm truly pro-peace, and I try to learn about this process as much as I can. And at the end of the day, I want all God's children to be granted the benefit of their humanity.
Yeah. Notice, well, folks in the chat, what did he say and what didn't he say? You know, Indy, you know, basically said it, you know, like pro-peace, but yet you're pro-Zionist.
Right.
And you didn't mention a shit about Palestine.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, like, if you're that concerned, you should be pro-Palestine, but he doesn't mention them at all. You know, he talks about everything in relation to Israel, but nothing regarding Palestine. So this just kind of shows you, you know, and I think, you know, I think, you know, especially if you're lefty on the black, this is black leftist, this is what we have to deal with. It's like, this guy is representative of, you know, the black capitalist class. Like, he cares about his position first, then his class, then his, you know, and then his race second. So the fact that he's willing to do this for AIPAC just in the guise of getting representation. Yeah, and Savvy is right. You know, like, black people are being pushed out of Israel. You know, like, you're not even, you're basically, even if you're Israel, if you're black, you're more or less a second class citizen there too. So it's like, what the hell is he talking about? So, you know, so really this guy is just, as I said earlier, a bitch, you know, but more importantly, you know, he's just like a whore for the establishment, you know, in the name of his career and, you know, his place within, you know, the elites. So, you know,
Durden,
any other thoughts?
Last thing before we get off this story, hit him with what you got.
I'll go real quick. I got 2 things to say. You can't be pro-Israel and pro-peace at the same time. If you know anything about what's actually been going on in Israel, Israel just bombed Palestine for like 14 straight days or 13 straight days last year after that incident at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, including they bombed the AP building, which had a whole bunch of journalists inside. They gave them time to get out, but they leveled the AP building. They blew up a whole bunch of roads to hospitals. What they do there is like, you know, it's like ethnic cleansing. How are you and you're pro-peace, but you're pro-ethnic cleansing? Okay. And then the second thing I drew from all of this is that it's sort of interesting that he's hiding behind identity politics by saying we need to put a black woman in office, and he's running against Rashida Tlaib, who is a woman of color. So it's
Right.
like, you don't really it's so stupid that they run out there with this identity politics bullshit. We need representation from women, and particularly brown women. That's why I'm for Mrs. Winfrey, when they're running against Rashida Tlaib, who is a woman of color, whose parent or whose grandmother lives in Palestine and lives under the this oppressive force that is the Israelis. So he's so full of shit. You know, he's hiding behind identity politics, and it doesn't even make goddamn sense.
Right.
Oh, this is why I appreciate yous. You got good shit going on in your brain. So